Astley. Rick, who told you I sort of like that type of treatment?
Well, yeah. It's just hearsay, you know.
Well, next time we'll have it in a boxing match, the next interview.
Yeah.
Good stuff. The second album, doing very, very well for you.
Can't complain, yeah.
You got 6 songs that you wrote on it yourself, but the whole story about that album before it came out was sort of a spooky one. I mean, apparently the master tapes were burnt or something in the studio?
Yeah, one of the studios was burnt down completely, and unfortunately 4 of the songs that we'd recorded for that album were in the studio at the time, so we had to re-record them, so bit of a bummer really, but what can you say?
Are you superstitious, Rick?
No, I'm not.
Not at all? So you don't think like, oh God, maybe we shouldn't do those?
No, I think it was just, you know, I don't know, probably an A&R man from the record company didn't like the stuff, you know.
And set it up on.
Yeah.
What do you listen to, Rick? What were you listening to when you first started, and what are you listening to today?
I listen to all kinds of different music, obviously, but I mean, I like good vocalists, so I tend to listen to a lot of Black American singers.
Like?
Luther Vandross is one of my favourites, always has been. Alexander O'Neill, somebody you mentioned him before. James Ingram I like as well. I like Michael McDonald a lot as well, who obviously isn't black, but he sings in that kind of a style.
Absolutely.
You know? So, but I mean, I've got 2 older brothers and an older sister, so they used to drag me to gigs every now and again. So I went to see like, you know, hippie bands like Camel and things.
Yeah.
I went to see Supertramp and stuff when I was really young. And they used to take me to, give me albums and everything all the time. So I've listened to quite a lot of different styles of music really. But as I say, the thing that's influenced me, I think, in the past few years more than anything, is good singers really, you know. So.
It's very interesting because that you should say that, because when your first single came out, the video took a little time before it came out, so we had the song and we really didn't know what you looked like. And I would say that 90% of the people thought that you were black.
Yeah, to a great degree that happened everywhere really, especially in England, because we released the single and it went to #1 in the week that we made the video. So not a great deal of people particularly knew what I looked like. And like I turned up to a few clubs to do PAs and things in the first few weeks, and they sort of said, well, where is he, you know, and it was a bit embarrassing, but, you know.
Simply Red actually said this very similar thing, because again, you know, they're put into that bracket as well, you know, the soul, the black influence and stuff. And as well, for them, when they first came out, their song reached us first, and they thought, you know, well, this band has got to be a black vocalist and stuff. So there's, how do you feel about the chart division and stuff? Black singles, dance singles, pop?
Well, to a great degree, I think it's all very confusing really, and I think that black music has become so prominent in the last, say, 10 years. It has in Britain anyway, I can't speak for everywhere else.
Yes, it has.
But, you know, that I never even think about it, I never give it a second thought. I never really say black music ever, you know, it just doesn't, to me, they're all the same thing, you know. I never think of it like that. Obviously, when I'm talking to people in interviews, I say I listen to a lot of black music, but that's just simply so people understand it. In my head, it's just you know, it's just all music, you know. So, I don't know.
Has there ever been an idol of yours, like, I mean, while you were growing up, that you thought you'd never meet and you have met?
Brian Ferry possibly.
Really?
Was that kind of a situation? Yeah. He's a bit of a cool dude, he's Brian, you know, and I did meet him once, and it was strange because not that I ever told him this, obviously, but I was listening to a Walkman, and I actually had Beat Noir on when I met him, you see. So. Well, that was pretty strange, you know.
That's great.
But a few people who I would class as idols, perhaps. You've just been mentioning about the Prince's Trust, and I did that a couple of years ago, or 18 months, a year ago, whatever it was. And there was a few people, obviously, on that night that, you know, and the band that I sort of sang in was, there's a few heroes in that band.
Like?
You know, Phil Collins was on drums. Mark Brzezicki as well, who was on drums, who was out of Big Country, who we used to do a few covers of theirs, you see. I mean, everybody in the band, I mean, like Midge Shore, who's like the MD of it, Howard Jones, Brian May, and a guy called Mick Garnett on bass, who used to be in one of my favourite bands called Japan. So, there's a lot of people really, and all the people in the other bands as well, obviously. So
we talked a little bit about the fans, you know, and the loyalty that they've shown to you, and that the fact that it's a little bit uncomfortable at times. I mean, it's sort of mesmerizing and overwhelming, and I know that you appreciate in that realm. How do you deal with, okay, celebrities coming up to you and saying, Rick, I love your stuff, I listen to it all the time, or is that changed? Is it the same sort of uneasiness as with the fans? Or?
I guess it is really, yeah, because at the end of the day, there's still people, you know what I mean? Everybody's still a person, so whether somebody comes up and says, or whether it's a guy in a hamburger store or something, or whether it's a taxi driver, or whether it's Phil Collins or whoever, who says, you know, I like your voice or whatever, then it's always a compliment whoever says it. Obviously, it has a slightly different edge when another musician says it, because you know, musicians do think about music differently and, you know, listen to it slightly differently, I think, more intensely really, and, you know, So I think perhaps it's more of a compliment when another musician says it, perhaps.
You have a couple of remakes, one on your first album and one on your second, which I adore. The one on your first album is the Nat King Cole remake of When I Fall in Love, and I've always said if a guy ever sings that to me, I'm home free. I mean, that has got to be one of the most beautiful jazz.
Right then.
All right, Rick, that's why I said it, a perfect setup. No, but that's a beautiful song. Did you choose that, or was that suggested to you?
No, well, it was something that we were all throwing up ideas for songs, throwing up, in the pub around the corner one night, because what we wanted was like a real sort of standard, a classic, to put on the end of the album, and do it. At first we were just going to do it with just a piano and a vocal, and you know, that was one of the songs that came up, and we had a go at that, and got the original out, listened to the arrangement, and that's why we did the full arrangement and everything.
It's gorgeous. It was #2 in the UK, and I know it wasn't.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
And it wasn't released here in Canada, unfortunately. But Ain't Too Proud to Beg, and that's on your second album. Now that's hot. Temptations did it. I mean, it's just you know, a whole bunch of people will include that in their show. Why that particular song?
I guess it was just one of the songs that perhaps suited my voice. So it gave my voice a chance to let rip a little, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, the Temptations were pretty good vocalists and still are today.
They're not
you know.
bad.
So I'm not saying that I'm in their league or anything, but at least that type of a song gives you the chance to, you know, have a go at something a little more.
And I understand that that's just been released right now in the States?
It has, yeah, in America, yeah. So.
How's it doing?
Well, I think it just went to radio this week, so I mean, you know.
I'd be interested to know what you think of Simply Red's remake of If You Don't Know Me By Now, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes.
Well, I like Simply Red a lot. I like the sound and everything, you know, the way that it's a band sound, and yet it's still, it's like it's a produced sound, but it's produced totally in a different way from, say, the Stock Aitken Waterman way of doing things. I like it, and I think Mick Hucknall's got a good voice as well. It's a very distinctive voice, you know.
Yes, it is.
And I think as well, you know, they've broken a lot of barriers. I mean, you're talking about black music before and white music and crossing over and everything, and they tend to sort of do their own thing, do it well, you know. I don't think there's many other bands around it who
no,
do
there's
what they
Was
do,
Not
really,
Was,
you know.
who I think is doing something with the two, you know, black lead singers.
But I mean, they've done it with a white vocalist, you know, and so, you know, it's great stuff. Also, they're from pretty good the planet as well, Manchester, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely, they're great. Okay, we're going to blab a little more, take a look at a couple of clips, and then come up and finish this interview with a man who choked me before. Rick Astley, see if he can